host
Okay.
to give us a little bit of insight about
Okay.
marketing in Nigeria.
Okay. So marketing is a big thing in Nigeria. Marketing, but fashion marketing has not been well tapped into. So in terms of fashion marketing, we still have like a lot of work. There is still a lot of things going on. It is not a full-blown sector, but marketing in Nigeria is something that everybody wants to do as a startup, as a but related it to fashion marketing, we are still at the infancy stage, if I would say. So like a company, fashion marketing in Nigeria is a startup between the ages of 3 to 5 years old. So we are still growing. We are still trying to figure it out. What is the best way to market fashion products? How do you speak the language? How do you make people understand what you are trying to communicate? So that how do you differentiate yourself? So for now, that is what fashion marketing is in Nigeria.
Okay, and so in Nigeria, how many marketing agencies would you say that you have in Lagos?
So we have close to 500.
Oh, wow.
Yes, but not the big ones. So
not.
Yes, but all these are just like small. I don't know if you understand when they say big agencies. We have big agencies will be like, out of these 500, we have big agencies to be like 12.
Okay.
12, yes.
And so those big agencies that you're talking about, are they mainly in fashion, hospitality?
We only have one in fashion, one agency in fashion that is big.
Okay. And what is the rest? Is it corporate marketing?
Corporate marketing, digital marketing, PR, and every other thing, that advertising and all that. So it's just one. I mean, one or two, I would say, that are doing very good in fashion. Every other agency, they are doing every other thing, but in fashion, we have very limited number.
Okay. Well, Blessing, thank you very much for this insight, because even myself, I had no clue about that. And I'd like to introduce, thank you very much, Blessing. I'd like to introduce our next and first speaker of the session about marketing, which is Cecile. Blessing, could you mute your mic, please, because we can still hear you. Yeah? Thank you. So, hi, Cecile.
Hello, Agnes.
Hello,
everyone. I'm very happy to be with you today and to share this time. I hope we will have lots of fun today.
Yes.
I'm going to share my screen with you.
Yes.
So just to introduce a little bit myself, I'm French and I live in Paris. I have more than 20 years experience in marketing and communication. In terms of background, I studied political sciences and then I integrated a business school where I specialized in marketing. On top of that, I practiced lots of music and dance. I went to the music conservatory. I played guitar, saxophone. I'm telling you that because I think it's very important, as it boosted my sensitivity and my creativity that I use every day in my job. So today I'm going to share with you some of my experience in marketing and communication, as I spent 10 years in cosmetics at L'Oréal, working for brands such as Lancôme or Diesel fragrances. Then I joined fashion at Paco Rabanne House when I was in charge of relaunching the ready-to-wear activity. And today I have a slightly different job as I work in retail food for a luxury chocolate house, which is named Pierre Marcolini. So cosmetic, fashion, food, it's different sectors of activity with different size of companies as well. But I would say over the 20 years past, I've done the same. So let's
yeah. I want to ask you a question, Sophie, because people will say, wow, so you went from beauty to fashion. That makes sense. okay? Because fashion and beauty is integrated, it works together very, very tightly. And then you made a move from beauty to food. How did you, I want to understand, how did you operate this move? Has your marketing skill from beauty very transferable into food?
Actually, as I've just said, I have some core competencies in marketing and communication, and I use the same recipe, the same tools I've learned and applied over the 10 years I've spent in L'Oréal in my nowadays job in chocolate. The product development process are exactly the same. We work on business analysis. Then I will explain you better after. But product development have the same phases. The process of communication are the same. We do advertising. We communicate on social networks. We have to produce content for social networks. So even if at the end I will launch a box of chocolates and not a fragrance or not a ready-to-wear collection, the process I have to implement, the way I brief the people, the way I work with people, the way I think and analyze the market is exactly the same.
Okay. This is very interesting. Very, very interesting, because often people that think that if you do marketing, it's a one track, it's advertisement, it's pushing sales. And if you do one thing, they don't understand that if you sell potatoes, you can also sell furniture. Or sometimes they don't understand that you don't always need to know how to drive a car to sell a car. And that in marketing, a lot of the skills are transferable. And I think that the best strategists in marketing are actually the one who's been a little bit of everywhere, so they can catch the best of every industry and make more tailored strategies.
Yes, exactly. And I would say the main link between my job, between cosmetics, fashion, and chocolate is luxury. I've always worked in luxury categories products. So at the end, the client is the same. He wants to have an enriched experience. He's ready to spend lots of money, but for a big experience. Perfect service, a product that is beyond everything in terms of packaging, in terms of surroundings, and so on. Okay?
Yeah.
Let's move on.
Yeah, let's move on.
You want to know more?
Yes. So guys, come on, give us some thumbs up. Do you want to know more? I can see your smile in the screen, So yeah, tell me more. What's marketing?
So what's marketing? This is a big question, as marketing is a very wide field of activity indeed, that is often split in several jobs within a company. You can be product manager. Actually, today I'm a brand director, so I work with product manager. I have a merchandising team. I manage a whole communication team. So you see, I manage many different tasks. But at the end, it's all about marketing. So basically, if we try to give a simple definition, marketing will include all the analysis and actions needed to launch a product on the market and sell it. For example, if I want to launch a ready-to-wear collection, first I need to study the market and define and study who are my competitors. This is marketing. I will also analyze fashion trends in terms of colors, patterns, fabrics for the next coming seasons. And trends forecasting is also part of the marketing. Okay? When I choose the name of the product or even the name of my brand, when I define the logo, when I will define the shape and the color of my packaging, this is again marketing. And when I will write the press kit or organize an event, to showcase my collection, at the end, it's all marketing, because it's all the action that helps selling my product. Okay?
Yeah. Can I stop you in that? Because when you pick marketing, when you do analysis, when you it's so good, because I can understand you do a lot of research, but I think that for a lot of people who are like up and coming or even established, some people, they've been established for maybe 5, 6, 10 years. And at the beginning of their business, they were very excited. They knew exactly what they wanted. And by the time goes on and they get a bit, they lose the direction a little bit. So you, as a brand director, managing so many agencies, how do you make, and for me, it's the most important question, how do you make the right decision for the brands? This is a tough question.
Yeah, this is a very tough question. It's all about having a vision. When you manage a brand, whatever it is, a fashion brand or a cosmetic brand, or even today a food brand, you need first to have a vision of your project. And a vision means who you want to address your product. What is about your brand? Is it about luxury, or is it about new generation brand? Do you want to talk to people all over the world, or do you want to people only in France and on a very specific market? So if you don't have a clear vision of your brand and you stuck to it, and you're right, actually, it is the most difficult part of the job. At the end, nobody will understand the brand, and you won't be successful. And the biggest the brand is, and the more developed internationally the brand is, the most difficult the job is, because you have to manage more and more people, and you have to keep consistency between all the people and all the countries and all the markets that will sell your product. Have to be. Do you see what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. And I want to add some things.
So you have to be tough. And you often say no.
Yeah, I think that one of the first things is you need to learn how to say no to people, but also what I want people that watch this live try to understand is that when you manage a brand and you have international ambition for the brand, so what I hear often, people I want to sell abroad, but selling abroad is one thing, so it has no intention. You just have a trousers and you sell it to customer abroad. That's one thing. Now, to develop a brand abroad, which is internationally on international markets, mean that you are actually doing it with intention, meaning that you want the brand to be recognized with or without branding. You want the brand to have association and partnership with people that make up the opinion on whatever level you can afford or wherever you're at. So that is the making a brand internationally, and it's very, very, very different from selling product internationally. There is a huge gap and different ways of doing so. So yeah,
exactly. Sorry, Agnes. I say you have to say no, but at the same time, when you want to launch a brand internationally, you have to be ready for it. And be ready means you have to develop before all the tools and all the guidelines to make people on the market be able to sell your brand and your product on the proper way. If you are not ready, if you don't have the right lookbook to explain your collection, if you don't have a clear merchandising guidelines to tell, I want my outfit be displayed like this in your store. I want the windows to be done like this on January, February, etc. I want you communicate on my brand with this logo, with this graphic identity, with this kind of wordings. I give you do and don'ts. You cannot do this on my brand, and don't. And people won't be able to do this. So this is something very important, because sometimes we want to go fast. We don't have all the tools, and then we fail just because the people in front are not able to tell the story of your brand with the proper ways.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And also, I think that there's a huge difference between PR and marketing, and brands cannot be, the audience or the consumer, depending if you're selling a product or it's a service, but the audience or the consumer cannot be ready for PR if the marketing has not been defined properly. So for people who just joined the session, who were not there on Monday, PR is like the hands of the marketing, and marketing is the brand of PR. So if your strategies is not defined really well, your PR won't be able to access the right people for you. She won't be able to connect with the right people for you. And you cannot start a PR campaign, a public relation campaign, talking, having flyers, until you know exactly who you're talking to, how you're talking to them, and where they are. And that's what Cecile does. As a brand director, she is the leading strength, thinking for the brands, advising the brands, guiding the brands, and then getting all the soldiers together to dispatch them into a certain breakdown of activities to reach out to wherever the consumer is. And it's also, you need to understand each country. Let's say you are on Etsy or you are on Africa, and you have a lot of people from France or Spain buying from you, then you should really look at this market and decide intentionally, what can I do for this market where I seem to have a lot of requests from, you know? So yeah, sorry, go on.
No, it's perfect. So if you go a little bit more into details about what marketing is, we can define or try to schematize into 3 steps or 3 big parts in terms of timeline. First, there is what we call strategy or marketing strategic marketing stories. So at this stage, it's a very early stage. You will do all the market studies. So you work on lots of facts and figures, competitor surveys, trends analysis, to understand and to define clearly what is your market, and to define what is going to be your offer and your positioning in terms of everything. I am going to launch a ready-to-wear collection for men or for women or for kids. Is it going to be at leisure or chic and easy outfit for every day? So you have to be very precise in everything to understand who you are facing in terms of competition, to really define what we call your unique selling proposal, or to make your product and your brand totally unique and differentiated on the market, right? This comes into define the marketing plan. So you will define your offer, your collection, what you're gonna, how you want to show your collection, how many collections you will launch a year, just this. You will have to define your distribution and to choose, will you sell online only or both on offline? Will you open a flagship and sell your collection only in your boutique, or do you prefer working with wholesalers or both? So this is key questions you have to address before launching your collection, and we were talking about vision, and this is everything about the vision you have about your business and the one you want to conduct it. At this stage of strategy, you also have to define the budget, the resources you need in terms of product development, events, communication, PR, and so on, and related to targeted objectives of sales, voilà, to have a global business plans. Having said that, the step 2 is what we call the marketing development. So marketing development is all about the components of your project: the product design, the packaging, the definition of the price, again, distribution, merchandising, and communication. Je suis perdu. Tac, tac, tac.
No. Marketing design and communication. So that's the different steps of what you need to establish in order to do your communication before you are able to launch your product.
Yes.
So that's quite clear. You know,
yes.
you took.
It's quite, yeah. You're not alone. Often you are what we call the conductor of a band, and you manage many people or even suppliers, agencies to work on the project with you. And your main task is always to give your vision through very precise brief. So you will bring a mood board, you will write text, you will make presentation, you will give objectives in terms of figures, aesthetic, identity, to make these people work for you and deliver you with the best product at the end. In the right time as well.
and then this leads us also to, in order to launch a brand, and I'm talking a brand, whatever the brand is, food, whatever it's fashion, and stuff, but a brand or an agency, but an agency can also become a brand. You need to surround yourself with, because you won't be able to know everything. And I really think that this is key at any stage. You need to surround yourself with people that you're going to recruit because they know better than you. They know more than you, and therefore you can take advice and you can move your brand into the right direction. So yes, educate yourself as much as possible so you know how to brief the people that will be working with you. You know what to expect, and you would expect the right services from the right supplier or provider. But you really have to remember that if you book a consultant, you book that consultant because he has an expertise. If he has an expertise, yes, indeed, he knows better than you, therefore you have to listen to this. And that's what do a brand director. But a brand director can only do that if the project, the brand is really well defined beforehand. Therefore, nobody is disappointed.
Exactly.
Yeah. So do you want to talk to us about the market launch?
Yeah, so the market launch is what we can see as the third phase, or the last step of the project. So it's all about the operational part of the launch. So basically now your product is done, your strategy and your vision is done as well, and it's time to launch. So if you launch your ready-to-wear collection, it's the time of organizing the fashion show, dealing with distribution with some wholesalers, if you have chosen to work with wholesale, or to train your staff in your boutique. It's everyday life of the products when it has been launched. It's about organizing the media plan. You have to post content on the social networks every day. You will also do what we call the CRM, or you will send the newsletter. You will communicate as much as you can to your customers, basically,
Yes.
to drive traffic to your stores and or to your e-shop and to sell your product.
So I'm going to have one question before we're going to take some question. So people in the audience, start to put your question in the comments, please, as we're going to be taking some question very soon. Yeah. So on your keyboard, how do you, a lot of people get their launch absolutely wrong, like so wrong, it's incredible. It's like they either launch too early or they launch with the wrong targets, or they just okay. If we take, for example, the press conference that one of the collaborator of Donald Trump did, and they booked the wrong hotel, and it was a parking lot in a landscape company. There is so many launch like that where it's totally wrong. So what would be your recommendation, 2 or 3 tips that tells you that your launch, how do you measure a successful launch? How do you know that your launch has been well executed?
First, with figures, you will sell if you manage to sell the product or not. Then through qualitative feedback, you know, press and all the comments you will have on the launch, you have to be ready to hear what people will say about your product. In general, if your product is successful, people will let you know as soon as possible. You know, there is a risk. You were saying, usually in marketing and on a brand, we work with many experts and many people around, agencies. So the more precise you are in your brief, the better will be the answers and the inputs from these agencies. The less precise you are, the more freedom you let the agencies do, not what you would like them to do, but what they want to do. And at the end, it's not anymore your project, but it's a project of 10 different people who have in general 10 different vision and 10 different tastes. So you can imagine it's a big melting pot of ideas. Maybe the 10 ideas are good separately, but at the end, mixed together, it's not the right recipe and it doesn't correspond to your project. So be careful. Be careful to, when you work on the project, you have to, at the same time, choose the right expert, but be precise and not let you be vampirized, je sais pas comment tu dis, manipulated. Do not listen all your friends, families, just passing behind you and telling, oh, I like this blue dress, but you know, it would be better in pink. And then you change it for pink. And then your grandma coming into the room and say, oh, you know, orange would be better. And then your brother is coming with a girlfriend and she said, but why don't you put high heel instead of the boots? And so, and at the end, you finish with a collection that is absolutely different from what it was supposed to be. You don't remember your name, and you're surprised because you don't sell anything. So I'm telling you that because I saw this even at Paco Rabanne. When we started relaunching ready to wear, actually Paco Rabanne belongs to a cosmetic group, and we were reporting to the big boss actually, who was very familiar to fragrance universe, but has never launched a ready-to-wear collection of his life. And he went to see the collection before the fashion week, and he told us, oh, I like it, this bag, but I would like it in brown. So, and so
Sure, great. Yeah, problematic. But I think you really have a very good point. Is to be so, is that many good ideas at the end don't make one good ideas. That you can have very, very good individual ideas, but put together, it doesn't do the right puzzle. And that is the head of the brand that need to keep this vision together so the puzzle get done in time when you need it to be done. So we do have few questions. We do have few questions.
Normal, non?
Sorry.
Je vois pas les questions. I don't
No,
see.
yes, I'm gonna put them. Okay. I'm gonna put them. Mayo, that would have been nice to have the question, but I've got a few questions. I want to know about marketing strategies in the right business model for small fashion. Oh yeah, very interesting question. I want to learn about marketing strategies and the right business model for small fashion brand post-COVID. This is a tough one, Coco. It's a tough one, but it's true. So do you want to start, or do you want I start on this one?
Well, you can start, Agnes, and I will complete if you want.
Okay. So, okay. I think that when it comes post-COVID, there's nothing magical. Nobody really knows because we are in a time of constant changes. So why I think about the post-COVID situation, it's of course to digitalize your business as much as you can, because at the moment, that's the only sure value that we've had. And it's also a common sense one and a logical one. But above and beyond everything, every time, and I've got to take a little bit of high on this one and not just stick to COVID, but anytime a business is being disrupted, you need to become innovative. You need to go into innovation. You need to go and do the thing that you push back for 6 months that you knew that you should have done, but you're not doing. And that collaboration that you've been thinking and you've never go for it now. You need to be innovative. If I take on my personal journey, my agency initially was a photographic agency, worked really well, made very good money, everything was fine. And I had the first recession. That wasn't a pandemic, that was a recession hitting everyone. Well, I've moved on, I switched and I changed industries, and it was always very soft and swift. So if you want to survive the pandemic, in terms of business model, you're going to have to add one layer to your business that you did not have before, something that people need. Like in London, I think I'm known for the fashion because of the trend Afro and beauty. But the thing is, I very swiftly moved into beauty. So this pandemic is not actually affecting none of my work because I'm working with the #1, #2 Afro and beauty products in Europe. So we know that at the moment, beauty is a hit. So if you have a fashion brand, why don't you go and hook up with a beauty brand? If you have a fashion brand, why don't you go and say, okay, what does one sitting in their house all day, watching Netflix, pretending working? Maybe they want sweatpants, maybe they want leggings. Go and do that, but don't go 50,000 of them. Just do one, and the one is going to be the hit. And do partnership, do slippers. You need to adapt. I think that who wants to survive will have to adapt. Who will have to be creative in the proposition of services of our products. Yeah. So now, in terms of business model, I don't think platform being online, like for instance, in your business program, which everybody can have now, you should take that service. You should take this option. You should add to your business really to make your business model as reachable as much as possible online by the most people. And if you're not on Pinterest, you should really think on exploring this avenue as well. So try to, all the digital, but also all the delivery services that you could add to your online shop to deliver more, to deliver faster, and to have a better, and also to have a better customer service, to make sure that people get your service as much as possible. And then in terms of marketing during a pandemic, I think that what you want to do, you also want to relieve your consumer of stress, and you want to support it. So you don't want to be telling them, buy this, buy that, buy. That's not the way they're going to buy. But if you fill up the gaps of supporting them with, yes, meditation, or on how to cope with the pandemic, they will then always log on into your brand. They will think about you. So you need to shift into giving your brand not a sole focus on product, but also focus on lifestyle. What would alleviate the lifestyle of your consumer? What will make it easier? And then you need to connect your product to this. That's the business. Yeah, that's the business model. That's the strategies. That's the marketing that I would put in place if I was you. And even in the, and also look in the, if you do fashion, I would very strongly advise and suggest to you to look at what people in beauty are doing, you know, because the beauty has been extremely fast forward thinking with all this digital, very fast forward thinking. So I would pick up some of this and I would add that to my business as well. Do you want to add something to this, Cecile?
You already said a lot of things, but you're right. I think the best recipe would be do less but better.
Yes.
Digital for sure. Choose what you want to do. Be very reactive and be very customer oriented. During this COVID period, we increased a lot our sales of chocolate with our corporate clients. We sell lots of chocolates to Dior, Chanel, Vuitton. You know what? Because since May, actually they are selling boxes of chocolates plus candles plus a magazine to their top 20 or top 50 clients to say, be quiet, we are thinking of you. And you're right, they didn't try to sell some dresses or coats. They just want to keep the relationships with their clients, their customers. So this is very important.
Yeah, so I've got another question. The question is from Lindsay, and it is a good question as well. So, would you recommend a product launch on several different distribution channels at once? Let's say if you launch your shop, you would also launch your online, and then you would launch a partnership. Or how would you? What would, if you're thinking of, let's say, 4 channels of different distribution, would you launch them all together, or would you launch it separately? And if you launch it separately, which one would you prioritize?
For sure, today I would go with digital first, and then I would answer it only depends on the budget you have. If you have enough budget to be able to launch at the same time an e-shop plus flagship store plus having had the time to be strong enough to deal with wholesalers to distribute your brand through wholesale, you can go, but it requires lots of resources in terms of human resources internally, lots of time to do so, and also lots of budget, because opening a store, well, I talk about Paris or London or New York. I don't know how it is in Lagos regarding the rental fees, but it requires lots of money. Even to work on a retail concept, you know, to create the boutique that will look like your brand is, it can require lots of money.
So I think you've answered that really, really well. And I would just add one thing. Yes, start with the digital, even before you have your product, because start to build yourself a community of people. Share your journey on getting this. The launch of your product happened way before the product is even being made, because as long as you create this community, the community will be, it will go from a community to an audience to a consumer. And then by the time you're launching, they will all buy it because they will be expected it and they will be winning it or wanted it. So I think that that was a very good advice, and it's really something that I very encourage. I have a very good question.
Sorry, I just need to add something. Sorry,
yes,
because it's important. Actually, the question you raised is very important, and it's we have to come back to what we said before. Before answering this question, you have to know what you want to sell and to who, and to have your vision. It's all about the vision you want. If you want to sell, I mean, maybe some sneakers to young people, aged from 15 to 20. Why won't you launch this through automatic distributors in front of the college and schools? This could be a new way of distribution. So I don't have the magic answer. First, you need to have clearly in mind what you want to sell to who. If you want to sell a collection of super luxury coats to old 60 to 80 years old ladies, maybe digital is not the right way. Maybe you have to open your amazing boutique in a great apartment in the middle of the city and to sell by appointments. But first, you have to answer this question: what you want to sell to who? And then you will get the answers of the distribution.
Did I say she was amazing or what? She is amazing. I absolutely love her. She's one of the most talented in Paris. I love this woman. You are amazing. The way she thinks is so creative, and that's what you need for a good brand director to be. It's creative, because also they need to bring solution to the brand's problem. But I have a very I have another question from Tenny. Hello, my name is, okay, it's about Black Friday. Black Friday sales coming up, and as a fashion brand, how does a brand should approach Black Friday in terms of marketing? Because, okay, Funke wants to do Black Friday, but she doesn't want to fall in the trap of telling people buy. But at the same time, she wants to take the opportunity of Black Friday. So what would you recommend of how would you make it interesting yourself if you wanted to take place, participate to Black Friday and stay chic?
If you have a premium positioning, usually you are not very keen on doing sales and communicate very directly on sales. So you can, maybe it's all about communication and using subtleties. You can reinvent your Black Friday as a winter winter sale, c'est the winter months of.
Dis-moi en français.
En fait, faut pas parler. Tu vas pas parler de promo, mais il faut faire une semaine.
D'introduction de produits.
Ouais, c'est comme en fait, elle peut faire une mini fashion week en créant des looks et en vendant, en fait, au lieu de vendre un produit, elle peut vendre des looks avec des prix plus attractifs.
Okay, so what she's suggesting is you could do a concept a bit more interesting, like a mini fashion week where you have maybe you put some looks together, and some of the looks is not all the most of your most expensive product in the collection, but that would be the collection, like the most affordable that maybe people don't know about it, and you put those products forward. So you don't say, hey, you know, it's discounted, but you could say, hey, did you see that we have a coat at 5,000, but we also have a belt at £20? And then you get into this narrative of having affordable prices, and maybe people have overlooked that, and you can remind them and refresh their memory, or just introduce it as well. And that would help you to do consumer recruitment, new consumer recruitment, that didn't know that actually you actually had stuff for 20 or 100, and not just everything was done at 5,000. And I want to add something also in terms of the Black Friday. If you don't want to do something where you discount things very clearly, you could say, you could have a partnership with with a charity, and you could say, well, 10% would go to this charity. So it's not discount, but you're making yourself happy, and you're making someone else happy, and that could make it interesting. And that also help with new consumer recruitment.
Also, luxury brands also do not Black Friday, but they organize their private sales. So you can just communicate on the private sales of your brand, and it's suddenly more chic, and it's the same.
and those those private sales, you could do it to everybody on your mailing list only, and you could tell them you can invite one friend to our private sale. So it's private, nobody sees it because it's through your mailing list, and they will feel very, very special because they can also invite one friend. So it generates the recruitment of new consumers still. So that's pretty good. So we now have 10 minutes left. So I will take one more question. So there's a question with Grace that says, how do you get into the luxury industry? Which approach is best as a newcomer? But unique, Grace, you need to tell us, as a brand, how to enter the luxury industry as a brand, or as to work in the luxury industry. I'm not too sure. So if you could rephrase that, that would be good. So do we have any more question? Oh yeah, Pat, Patch, how do you target, sorry, wait, how do you target the right customer and put, yeah. So Patch, in regard to pricing, you need to come tomorrow because we will talk about pricing and targeting customer. That's the session of tomorrow. So I want to say thank you very much to Cecile. This was a very informative session. I've learned stuff. You refreshed some of my knowledge as well. That's fantastic. I hope that everybody learned a few things as well. So let us know in the comment, put some thumbs up and everything. But if I have to resume the conversation, when it comes to marketing, really you need to be creative, you need to be innovative. Don't always look at the competition thinking that you need to do what they do because they don't always have, sometimes they have more budget, sometimes they have more time, sometimes they have a bigger team. So do you yourself, do what you know you can achieve well. And above and everything, everybody in London or in Paris that knows me knows that I absolutely hate mediocrity. Don't be a mediocre. Don't be a mediocre, because you can look at any competition. If you're mediocre, you've already lost. And always shoot for the best of what you can do with what you have. And even if it's small, make it the best and do it. It's by doing that you learn and you can improve. So Cecile, thank you very much for all this insight.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. And we all hope to come to Lagos and have a workshop with all of you. Bye. I'm going to take Mayo back. Bye.
Bye. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Cecile, and see you very, very, very soon in Paris. Mayo, so the next session, we're gonna have Sophie Whitmer,
Yes.
who is also a very, very a huge expert in marketing. She's been across she's been across few markets as such as beauty, fashion, and she has a really good experience with kids wear as well. So yeah, can you hear me, Mayo?
I can hear you clearly. Clearly, I can hear you.
So yeah, okay. So yeah, the next station, yeah.
Yes. So two ways. Should we just keep the current link for the next session? We can as well. All right. So yes, let's stay online. Stay online, guys. The next session will start almost immediately, and it's going to be specialized. It's going to be focused on kids wear, fashion marketing for kids wear.
Okay.
So have an expert joining us very soon. Just stay on the line, keep the link open, keep the meeting open on your phones, on your computers. The next session will be starting anytime from now, soon.
So what I would say, because I don't want to lose this audience, the next station, Mayo, is supposed to be in 30 minutes.
In 30 minutes, yes.
Yeah. So what I would say, let's have a little bit more in-depth conversation about marketing, so you can ask me questions. But also, Mayo, from what you've heard just now, do you want to give me a bit more insight about the marketing situation in Nigeria? And I will take all the questions coming up into the next session.
All right. So the fashion marketing scene in Nigeria essentially is not so structured per se, because most of the brands that play in fashion are still small businesses. They fall in that SME category who don't have huge budgets and all of that. So most of the big agencies in marketing in Africa, in Nigeria to be precise, they kind of work with fellow big clients that can afford their bills. So the average fashion brand in Nigeria is relatively small or medium scale, and they try to do what they can do in-house regarding their marketing. So that's pretty much how it is. There are a few brands that can afford to do huge campaigns with agencies and all of that, but most designers, most people in the creative space in Nigeria do their marketing themselves. So they try to learn from webinars, ask for consultations. We also do some of these free consultations for designers to look through their marketing with them, look through their product launch with them, look through their social media with them, and give advice on what you can tweak here and there. So basically that's how it is at the moment in Nigeria.
And from my point of view, and what I can see from Nigeria coming, you're at the top of that. Nigerians are being extremely creative about that,
yes,
and
yes.
extremely driving the lead in that, and the trend and the inspiration. A lot of inspiration comes from Nigeria, comes from Ghana. Now, in terms of marketing, I think that Nigerian and English-speaking African in general on the continent have been very clever, have used a lot of different resources to make themselves known beyond their own countries, via the diaspora, via Instagram, and so on and so forth. So it's really something that I know that even small brand can really do themselves. But when it comes to marketing, I think people think that marketing is a huge thing that costs a lot of money.
That's the perception, that it costs a lot of money.
Yeah, but it does cost money. Loads, not necessarily, but it does cost money in a consistent way, and it does involve a lot of planning. Without planning, marketing is not effective. Without planning, marketing working, Mayo?
So I'll need to, the hub is open. A number of designers working in the hub. We have a lot of designers.
Okay. Okay,
So I'll
okay,
just
okay.
let them know to give me a few minutes of some quiet.
Okay.
It's a
So,
creative hub, so the creatives everywhere working.
okay. So basically what I say is like marketing requires time, and before you launch any product, you need to give you time. People that goes to agencies and said, yeah, I want to launch my brand in 6 months. I said, no, it's crazy. You need to think about your brand launching it in 2 years. You need to maybe go and secure some funding, and you cannot get some funding by thinking of launching a brand in 6 months where you're not very sure of the name, you're not going to be very sure your funnel, you're not going to show how many range you're going to do, you don't even know how much fabric costs, and you're going to have to add all of that in your cost. So really launching a brand, it takes a year or 2 years, 1 year of prep to know who you're going to be working with, how you're going to be working with them, in which time, how much they're going to cost. So once you've done your little shopping of potential and future collaborator, because you will have those collaborators as the time goes on, then you can look at the collection, what collection you're going to be doing. And then when you will need the resources to move further up and further on, you will be ready, and you will be ready for funding, because you're going to have to be funded. You're not going to be able to self-fund all your brand all the time. At some point, when you're going to be willing to go to the next level, you're going to have to be funded. Someone is going to have to inject a little bit of money, so you can take this money to have those ads, or maybe you can take this money to do your first trade show, so you can trade. You can go to a marketplace where every people walking the door of that marketplace comes in with the budget. Yeah.
All right. So talking about funding, that's pretty much a gray area in this part of the world, where there isn't much, would I say, structured method to how you can get funding. So do you have, for designers that play in this kind of space, do you have a few tips on how they can position brands for funding?
Yes, absolutely. To be fair, actually, at the moment, the British Fashion Council has a special funding for Nigerian who wants to do stuff, a collaboration between the UK and Nigeria. Specifically in Nigeria, they have put a lot of money into the textile industry in Nigeria. It's not even Ghana, it's Nigeria specifically that is targeted. And I know that last year in June, they were desperately looking for people being able from the UK into Nigeria, or Nigeria into the UK, but it was to help to educate, fund some of the collection in Nigeria to develop the industry of textile. So there is funding. There is funding in the West to improve on the continent. They are very, unfortunately for them, they should also look at the cosmetic, but they are not interested in cosmetic, and I think that's a big miss. But they are very, very strongly interested on developing the relationship West and African continent with anything with textile and creation, and the association, especially anything to do with manufacturing, because I know that on the continent, your problem as well is the manufacturing of collection is complicated, because you don't necessarily have the manufacturer, so you have to send it to India, get it back in Africa, then send it back to Europe, and that is a killer in terms of tax, international tax. So I would say that if you're a young designer as well, you need to set up your own as soon as you can. 1 seamstress, 2 seamstress, 3 seamstress, 4. Try to have your own little committee, association, crew of seamstress to help you to manufacture.
Manufacturing.
and around you as well. And this would be part of the storytelling of your brand. When you're going to sell it, you will be able to say, hey, yeah, who made my clothes? You know, that little picture, and you say, who made my clothes? He did, he did, he did. And these are all local people. And when it comes to recycling and eco-friendly, African have been a champion of vintage and recycling clothes. This is a big next trend as well. Mass production is not where people are going, especially with COVID. Mass producing, not a very good idea, because people don't need coat at the moment. So if you do coat right now in Europe, you're not in a good position because nobody really is wearing a coat. Yeah, but people still buy. If you look at the luxury industry, they are making a mint, but they shift what they were selling before to new product. So you need to adapt to that. So do less, but do it better. Do less, but make it more recognizable. And also collaborate. Collaboration. Collaboration is
very important.
Super important, because then you can benefit from the channel from so many other people. And also collaboration on the same level as you helps you to build a network that when they hear something, they will call you, you will call them, and then you'll go stronger together. You know, the visibility will be better, the reputation is going to increase as well. All of this is part of the marketing, and that doesn't require money. To be nice to a brand that complements you doesn't require money. It requires really watching what's going on around you. It requires really pay attention to the trends. It requires to be connected with what the youngsters are looking for or want. And also there is a lot of market, whether it's still in fashion, where you do not have any competition. In Europe, for instance, the plus size market, there's no competition, because there is no competition, because there is no market, but there is consumer. So you could say, okay, okay, Bayo, do you want to mute your mic, because we can hear everything?
All right.
So you could say, okay, whatever I do in Nigeria, in those sites, wherever it is, it works and it's good. But wherever, the way my ticket to enter Europe is going to be the plus size market. I'm going to make the plus size lady looking absolutely phenomenal. There's a designer that did that in America. Nobody wanted to dress up the bigger actresses, so he started to dress them all. He is making a mint. He's very successful in a market that nobody wanted to go. So also in terms of what you're going to do, how you're going to be doing it, find a niche that you're going to own, you know, don't go where everybody's going. Find your own niche. There is a plus size, there is a disability market. When you're very small and when you're very short, where do you get your clothes done? In Europe, we don't get clothes made to measure. So where do they go? I don't even know myself. That could be your niche. You could have that and decide, I'm going to enter the market of very small people with disabilities in Europe, and you would be the only one. The press will take this, the consumer will go to you, because you'd get one, you'll get two, you'd get 100 of them, and you will make money of that. And then you add as a layer whatever else you're doing, you know. So in terms of market, in terms of your domain and your collection, what you need to do, find a market where there is nobody, where the competition is not fierce, where nobody wants to go. Let's say if you, so I've touched on plus size, which is a huge
market. Huge market, yes.
I have myself a body positive event I would love to bring in Nigeria, but I have that and it was very successful. there is a disability market where the people of very, very small size, they want to look good as well. You know, people in wheelchair wants to look good, and so on and so forth. There is also, there's a market which is a bit hush-hush, but he's making a mint. It's the undergarment market, the cute one. And a mint, if you have fashion clothes, but on the side you say, and we also sell the undergarment, that's a very good entry point into a market. If you look at what, so I only have the one of Skims from Kim Kardashian. It looks so good, you can wear it outside. You can just put some jeans on and you put your undergarment out because it looks so good. But there's plenty of other, not plenty actually, few others who are kind of good and they're a bit meshy and see-through. And they look amazing, nothing like our grandmother with all the things and very constrained and very uncomfortable. This is what young kids, grannies, aunties, everybody is wearing it, and it's not even a taboo anymore. That's a very, very, very good entry point market. So think about everything you want to do, and not just what makes you happy, what you've always dreamed. Think of something that people need and complement it with your product. If it's fashion, but if it's like at the moment, for instance, something which is doing really well, because everybody talks about the brand that's not doing so well, but some of the brands are doing extremely well, is interior decoration. So if you have a fashion brand, why don't you partner with an interior decorator? And on your platform, do some master classes on how to redecorate your wardrobe or your bedroom or things like that, because they do very well, you know, and you want their audience, you want to grab some of their clients and customers, right? So you need to think of all of that. Some people are doing really, really well. The one that they are really, really well, if they can complement what you're proposing, what you are doing, the service that you have, why don't you go and say, hey, why don't we work something together, you know? And also in terms of marketing, we haven't talked about influencer marketing, which is a bit of yes, yes, or no, no, or maybe sometime.
Influencer marketing, it's pretty tricky here because it's also a space that's growing in Nigeria. The influencer space is growing in Nigeria. So brands are always caught in between. How do I define a real influencer? Because it's becoming a known fact that number of followers won't really cut it anymore. No. And all of that. So it's becoming a general fact. People no longer buy the old idea that once it has 200K followers, oh, that's an influencer, post nice pictures and all of that. So it would be nice if you can just break it down for us. Yes. How do I identify an ideal influencer for a particular brand or product?
Okay, so I do a lot of marketing influencer for the beauty brand. So I've been doing it for 4 years now. And actually, I've really started to be around influencer with Cecile when I was like babysitting influencer. You know, they go on trips and looking at what they're doing and, you know, if they have a plan or not. So I was just making sure they get on time. I was just doing that. And then as I grow into the brand, they ask me more and more to go and book influencer. And because I've got past experience with being agent, artist and models booker, so it's kind of natural to me. Now, when it comes to influencer marketing, the water is very cloudy because you never really know what to expect and to get. So my advice, what I do, first of all, I try to really build a relationship with the influencer. I try to look at the few campaigns that they've been doing, like maybe 2-3 campaigns that they've been doing, the latest campaign. I try to pick influencers who don't have a new campaign every week, because then you know that your product is not going to be seen. I have a very clear brief of what I need from them, so then I can measure the success of the campaign. And one of the brief would be, I want a report, I want the insight, I will give them a specific date and time where I want them and need them to post. I will give them the hashtag. I will give them the hashtags. I will do a copy of the text that I want them to post. And I will have a series of activation. I would have a series of activation like giveaways. I'm not too much into giveaway anymore. I'm more into quizzes, because when you have a quiz,
you hear from them.
You know that people are going to have to look at it and get back to you, and they are more involved as well. So quizzes, giveaway can be good when they don't know your product, but not too many, because then your product becomes cheap. But have a series of activation with them that you can really measure. Ask for a screenshot of all their insight before you book them, especially the region, because suddenly you're going to have an influencer and it's all good. They have 40K or whatever case or no case, but all their followers are in Brazil and you're in Nigeria. Why would you need them? Do you know? So this insight per region is very, very important, and they need to show it to you, because even if they speak English and they're based in Nigeria, maybe all the audience is in America. So unless you the American market, there is no point. So I give all the I give the copy, I give a very strict copy of what they have to post as well. Yeah. And I ask them to add their friend, because we know that influencers, they have girlfriends who also influence. So I'm asking them to add their girls. I'm asking them to send private message on their DM. I'm fierce. I'm asking them to send private DM in their messages so people get them. I'm asking. Live works really, really well if they can speak. And obviously I pick influencers who are very good at producing their own content, and not just at giving reviews of product, but influencers who are going to be creative. It doesn't really matter how many followers an influencer has. What matters is the engagement and the reputation. I try to work with girls, like in the beauty, I try to work with girls who are very creative. I don't need them to have a lot of followers, and I like to have a mix of an influencer that everybody knows, and then I have to have a mix of an influencer that nobody really knows, but everybody should get to know, because I think that in a month, in 6 months, she's gonna blow. And if I think that she's gonna blow, I am gonna push her. I'm gonna push her to the brand, saying like, okay, we've got that big one, but that big one in 6 months, she's dying. What about this one that nobody knows, but in 6 months, she'd be at the top? And I will fight more for the one that's gonna be at the top in 6 months than the one who's at the top right now, but she will be dead in 6 months. In 6 months, I won't need her anymore, but I need the one who's coming up. And for this one, that one, I will fight. Now, with influencers who are on the up, you have to understand it's a great opportunity. So I also mentor a little bit on that side to tell them, okay, we might not pay you for this one because you can't drive, you can't drag enough viewings or so on. But let me tell you how you're going to optimize. Therefore, I gain the loyalty of the influencer as well, because I don't use them. I really build collaboration with them. I keep in touch. We talk. I've got their mobile. I never go through agent ever, ever. I go straight to influencers. And if I have to go to agent, I need to agree with the influencer first. And then I will tell the agent what I want and at the price that I want. But that's me, you know, because I used to be an agent, so I know it works. I know what I want to avoid, and I know how to work with them. But I think that you really need when you work with influencer to have a give and take. If there is event where they are at, go and speak to them, see how it feels, because sometimes influencers are very different online and in real life. And you need to, you know, if they're going to represent your brand, you need to know who you're working with. You need to make sure that they are good. You need to have credentials. It's like, is it Kika Good Hair? In Nigeria, is it Kika Good Hair that does the salon and she's got the hair extension? Yeah, it's Kika Good Hair. She's blonde, she's got the salon, she's very jet setty. I've met her once in London in a show, in a TV show, and she was like the Lady of Ice. But in real, she's super funny, and she's extremely warm as well. So I've bonded with her, we're inviting her on event in London, and she was absolutely amazing. And I'm actually glad that I've met her in real, because Kika Good Hair, she's also a good friend. She is a good brand representative, because she's everything. She's online, but she's more offline. So she was a good match, and she's very cooperative as well. And she's very kind, and she's very friendly, and she's way more approachable than people think. So it's good to have this kind of on and off relationship with them as well. But if you're paying an influencer, you also have to understand that themselves, they don't understand the value of what they are bringing. The price vary a lot. Sometimes it's crazy. So go with similar influencer, send them the exact same brief. Whoever is getting back to you with the lowest offer, go and pitch that to the one that you want. 80%, they're going to say yes. Oh, yeah, we loved it, but you know, breaking down like this, would you be able to do it for this cost? Yes, no, maybe, and you've got nothing to lose. If they said yes, you're the winner. So that's why I would suggest with influencer. But above everything, when you pick an influencer on your level, even lower than you sometimes. But you need to have the little one who would love to work with you, because they will be loyal to you and you will be loyal to them, and you're going to be able to build something with them. It's the building that is very, very important. Then the next influencer that you can do something, but also influencer, the notion of influencer needs to be refined. What is an influencer? What does he do for you? How can he does it? It could be the influencer could be a community. It doesn't have to be a person selling products and very close. It could be a community. It could be a podcast. If you go through podcasts to talk about your brand, it's really, 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 really good. It could be the influencer could be a conference where you get to meet an audience of someone. That could be an influencer if you wanted to see it that way. So the channel of influence can really, 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 really vary where you're going to plug your brand at. Now, if we're talking about a traditional, a digital influencer as a person that's going to push your product, you really, really have to try to, first of all, work with them without paying them. So take someone, because you also need yourself to get used to work with influencer. Because if you go straight away with influencer that you're going to pay, you might be disappointed because you had very high expectation. And the more you work with influencer, the more you define your offer, but also the more you can define your needs. So that's why I would say start with small one. The small one will become bigger. And by the time they get bigger, you'll pay them. But by the time they get bigger, it's not about you pay me, I do this. It's like, how can we make money together? And this is a way more better collaboration than just giving money and incentive to someone. They put your product and then they move to the next product. If you can make them wanted, willing to associate, to partner, to collaborate with your brand to the level that they feel that they belong in your brand, then you're working like a high-end house. I'll give you one example before we go to the next conference. I was working with Olympic champion. We did the show, blah, 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 blah. I wanted her to be invited by Chanel in front row. And the reaction of Chanel was the right one. It was perfect. They said, yes, we're interested. Obviously, she represents France. She's the Olympic champion. But before, we'd like to have a cup of tea with her. That was the PR agency telling me, this is the in-house PR agency. Before we invite her to the fashion show front row, we'd like to meet her. And they were keen on to building this relationship, because if you work like a big fashion house, they work with layers. First, they get to know you. Second, they send you presents. They see what you do with the presents. They see how you work the presents. They see how creative you're going to be with the present. Third, maybe they will invite you to the press day or a presentation. So by this time, your relationship with them has grown, the trust has grown as well. And it's not a question of money. Of course, everybody wants to work with each other and everybody wants to get the money from one another, obviously. But it's like dating. You don't go straight away in bed. You date first. So date your influencer. Get to know them and have these layers of getting closer, so you don't get too involved at the beginning, and then when you're ready and when you want to put that big campaign together, you know exactly who you are doing it with. Does that make sense to anyone? Yeah? And the one with no picture, can you give me a sum up, because I'm exhausted here. talking. So yeah, so in terms of influencer marketing, and you also have a lot of agencies who are absolute crooks. They don't know what they are doing. They have no clue. The influencer that manage the influencer themselves, sometimes it's a bit complicated. So if you go through an agency, really look at the, you need to ask them for the credentials, you need to ask them for insight from past campaign that they've done with the influencer, and you need to ask them, very important, return of investment. How many did they spend? How much the brand has spent, how much the brand had gotten. Mayowa, I think that it's time for our second conference.
Yes, we have 5 minutes left for that. So can we just take perhaps a 5-minute break?
Yes.
So we can we'll get back together in 5 minutes.
Yes. See you in 5 minutes, guys. Bye bye. Bye. Bye.